Hey everyone, how's it going? So I feel like we're coming almost full circle in a sense. The first challenge I ever did is Magikarp, one of the most difficult, in fact the only challenge I've done that is actually impossible. And today we're going to find out whether Gyarados is in fact going to be the very best at these solo challenges. Now you might be wondering, well, how could Gyarados be better than like the legendary birds? But the truth of the matter is, if you look at Gyarados' base stats, it's very comparable with super great attack, pretty good special, and here's the best part, a very deep move pool, and excellent starting moves. And that's one thing Mewtwo did have over all the legendary birds pretty much, was amazing starting moves. Well, Gyarados has Hydro Pump, the strongest water move in the entire game, but it also has Dragon Rage, something you wouldn't think would be good, but Dragon Rage, for those of you who don't know, deals exactly 40 HP of damage. And nothing before Misty-ish has 40 or more HP. So essentially, we can use it as an instant one-hit KO. And so it doesn't take much time at all to make our way through Viridian Forest, past the Weedle Trainer. We're going to skip the Junior Trainer, and although Brock may outspeed us, Dragon Rage is a one-hit KO on both Geodude, and although it's kind of close, it still is a one-hit KO on Onix, and that's all that matters. So we're able to make it to Mount Moon in incredibly good time. This is kind of on pace with Mewtwo. However, what really set Mewtwo apart from all the other Pokemon we've talked about is the fact it could sustain this amazing play. Well, Gyarados can kind of do so. I mean, we're going to battle Misty next, and I did try to battle her without healing, and I lost. You actually can lose to Misty. However, at full HP, it's very difficult to lose. It is 2 Dragon Rages, so like I said, once we get to Misty, Dragon Rage isn't always a one-hit KO, it does some and not others, and you kind of have to know which Pokemon are going to have more than 40 HP. But the fact of the matter is, because Misty's best moves are water moves, they're not too scary, and we can get by her without too many issues, and then make our way to rival number 2. Now this battle isn't too bad. Gyarados also has very good defense. The one thing, and it did happen here, you don't want to get hit by Sand Attack, and Gyarados doesn't have the best speed. That is going to be a bit of an issue. We were lucky with all the Pokemon we've used so far have excellent speed. Gyarados doesn't. However, we can easily knock out Pidgeot with a Dragon Rage and any other attack we want. Abra and Rattata are one-hit KOs with Dragon Rage. Bulbasaur almost is, and even with the miss, the only move it can really use, actually Leech Seed is probably the most annoying, but it didn't end up mattering, and we knocked it out. And while we technically could have done this battle first, it's much better to have Bubble Beam at this point, because that gives us enough power points that we don't ever need to go back to the Pokemon Center and heal, and we can just make our way through the entirety of these routes, get the SS ticket, battle the Team Rocket member, and make our way down to Vermilion, onto the SSN, and battle rival number 3. Now, I did think about whether I wanted to not do minimum battles and get Body Slam. However, in the end, I decided I probably wasn't going to use Body Slam all that much, so I opted to skip it and keep with minimum battles and just battle rival number 3 right away. Now, by this point, we do have the option to use Hydro Pump for a 1-hit KO, but it is risky. Thankfully, I hit both against Pidgeotto and against Raticate. Bite is a 1-hit KO against Kadabra, but it does outspeed, which is bad. And I'm able to knock out Ivysaur with 2 Dragon Rages. Of course, Hydro Pump wouldn't be a 1-hit KO. The thing about Hydro Pump that sucks is while it does do very great damage, that 20% chance to miss is really annoying. And so I'd like to rely on Hydro Pump as little as possible. However, it's still good to have in these cases. And this was my first try anyway, so it's not like I had to reset too many times. And so up to this point, the run is going incredibly smoothly. But that's about to come to a pretty screeching halt, because the next gym leader we have to fight is Lieutenant Surge. And while Hydro Pump is pretty good, Gyarados is still going to be outsped at least by the Raichu, and in fact also by the Voltorb. And Thunderbolt, as you're going to see, is a 1-hit KO. And I tried this battle many times. I mean, I didn't want to just go for luck, but I was curious if I changed up strategy, did different moves, healed, because I don't want to heal the Pokemon Center, so I can dig right back to Cerulean and save some time. But no matter what I tried, no matter what health I was at, It took me like 6 or so battles just to land a single Hydro Pump on the Raichu, and it didn't even knock it out. So this is just definitely not the time to battle Lieutenant Surge. I probably should have seen this coming. I really did want to get the TM for Thunderbolt here. That would have been nice moving forward, but we'll have to skip it for now, dig back to Cerulean, and then make our way to Rock Tunnel. Rock Tunnel is pretty easy. The one thing is, unfortunately, I forgot to buy repels, so this probably added a minute or two of in-game time. Anyway, after we make it through Rock Tunnel, we can make our way to Celadon. Generally, Celadon, I'll go Rocket Game Corner, then I'll do shopping, then I'll fly to Lavender, do that, and then finally battle Erica. Well, since I didn't beat Lieutenant Surge, I can't actually fly to Lavender, so that's going to be changed, but I am going to battle Giovanni first. He's really easy. I mean, Bubble Beam's a 1-hit KO. Kangaskhan could have knocked me out theoretically. I mean, you know, definitely critical hit, 5-turn Comet Punch. Thankfully, even though I got a bit of bad luck, I got Rage the second turn, so I was able to knock out Kangaskhan. I was kind of hoping it would be a 1-hit KO, but not now at least. And so we're able to go and do the shopping. And here I had to decide, do I want to battle Erica now? Erica I don't think is going to be so bad, even though she is the Grass-type gym leader. I do pick up in my shopping Ice Beam, so I can use that and it probably won't be too bad. But you know what? Even though I'm at minimum battles still, I've leveled up quite a bit. I think Lieutenant Surge should be doable, which will give me access to Fly, which is pretty good. So let's go, head through Saffron. I already have the fresh water, so I've unlocked Saffron. Head down to Vermilion. Unfortunately, this does cost a little bit of time, but this has to be done. And let's go battle Lieutenant Surge. Now, since I'm at a much higher level, I outspeed Voltorb, and Bubble Beam is a 1-hit KO. I will obviously outspeed Pikachu and 1-hit KO it with Bubble Beam again. Now the question is, will I outspeed and or 1-hit KO Raichu with Hydro Pump? Well, I do outspeed, and oh so close. And of course I get a Thundershock Paralysis. Alright, but he goes for X-Speed, and I'm paralyzed. Oh, goodness. Another Thundershock. Oh, I survive? And okay. So that happened. I mean, it was my first attempt, so not a first try victory, obviously. I'd battled him a bunch, but first try at this level. And I definitely got a mix of luck there. I'll take it. But now that we've beaten Lieutenant Surge, we can fly to Lavender, and we can battle rival number 4. Now, rival number 4 I did lose to, but because I forgot to teach Thunderbolt, and once you have Thunderbolt, rival number 4 isn't too bad. Pidgeotto is a 1-hit KO either with Thunderbolt or Ice Beam, but Gyarados takes several hits to knock out, and it has Dragon Rage, so you're going to want to use Thunderbolt, you're going to want to teach it here. It is unfortunate that we can't take advantage of our Gyarados' massive physical attack, but I think coverage is more important. Everything else is a 1-hit KO, albeit I do go for Hydro Pump against Kadabra because I wasn't sure. And that's rival number 4, typically not too bad, and even with these time losses, I'm still keeping pace with Mewtwo. Mewtwo's definitely ahead, but if I have a better late game or Elite Four, because Mewtwo wasn't great at those, I might be able to actually set a new record, which would be fantastic. Still, we have to make our way through Pokemon Tower, and now we're going to go battle Erica, since it just makes sense. And I was worried about how this would go. It's fine. I mean, it is a 2-hit KO Ice Beam against Victory Bell, but Razor Leaf always is a critical hit, and it did, like, nothing. So, not much to worry about. Tangela can do nothing. Vileplume can put you to sleep, and it can use Petal Dance, but again, my special is pretty good. So, in the end, it would take monumentally terrible luck for me to actually lose. So, obviously, I battled Erica at a decent time. If I wasn't trying to do this fast, this would be a great point to gain experience points. And I will mention, like Mewtwo and the Legendary Birds, Gyarados is part of the slow level up group, and that does make this a little more challenging than something like Mew, because leveling up is a very important way of being able to, if nothing else, outspeed your opponents. And in these solo runs, the ability to go first is just massive. And we're going to see that in full force when we get to our first kind of crossroads. I mean, at first we're going to go to the Safari Zone and get Surf because we need it, and Surf is just an objectively better Bubble Beam. So that's the move we're going to be using most of the time from now on, unless we need to deal more damage and we can risk missing. But do I want to go to Koga, or do I want to go and battle Rival Fivel, which is technically a little faster but tends to be trickier? I decided to go battle Koga and be safe. That ended up being the wrong call. And it wasn't even Koga himself, it was the jugglers with their Drowsies. I mean, Gyarados' stats are monstrous compared to what I usually use in these challenges, however it's also at a much lower level, and so even though it's using good moves, it just isn't dealing enough damage, and stuff like Drowsy or Kadabra are outspeeding, and then the second juggler with the Hypno, it just wasn't happening. I did eventually make it to Koga, but that went even worse. Koga's whole shtick is that he uses moves to confound and annoy you, like Smokescreen, Sludge, or Toxic. You really just don't want to stick around, and you want to get rid of Koga's Pokemon as quick as possible. That wasn't happening. And, you know, what sucks is, if this was Generation 3, and I'm going to say this many times, Gyarados would have access to Earthquake, and Koga would have been a breeze. But alas, for whatever reason, Gyarados cannot learn Earthquake in the first generation, and so I was just having too much trouble with Koga, and decided, well, I have better coverage against Rival Fivel, let's do that. And it wasn't working either. I mean, Pidgeot outsped, was dealing decent damage. Gyarados, even Thunderbolt with quadruple super effective, wasn't knocking it out. I really didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm gonna have to level up, which will suck. So that's a real surprise to me that, you know, pretty much every single Pokemon in this tier that I'm hoping Gyarados will be in, while there were issues, I never really felt like I needed to level up, but thankfully, there are a few rare candies. I mean, there's one more I probably could have picked up too, but there are some that are really not out of the way that I pick up just because why not, just in case. I do have 3 rare candies lying around. What would happen if I decided to use them? What would the battle look like? Well, Pidgeot still outspeeds. I go for Ice Beam because of that. Maybe I'd get a lucky freeze. So it is frozen, thus Pidgeot can't attack. No crit, no accuracy drop, and we make it through to Gyarados. Big question, will Thunderbolt knock it out now? Yes, it does. That's actually really big because now we'll be able to knock out the Growlithe, and we have plenty of HP for Alakazam. I was thinking of going for Hydro Pump, but I was curious if Surf would do about half. It did just under. Thankfully, Alakazam goes for Confusion, I don't get confused, and Hydro Pump does hit. So now we just have Venusaur to take care of, and Venusaur shouldn't be too big a deal. It basically has 1 of 3 moves it could use, you just don't want to see Razor Leaf, but we get Leech Seed, which is fine. It only gains back health after I attack, so Ice Beam did about half, and the second one takes it all the way to 0. Very good. And yeah, first try at this level once again, so I had to use rare candies. It's not going to be like Mewtwo at the lowest possible level. Frankly, none of them have really been. But, you know, it's nice to see Gyarados be able, with just minimal effort, to get through its first roadblock. I mean, I don't need to make this challenge more arbitrarily difficult than possible. The rare candies cost just a tiny bit of time. They're on the way. Why not use them? And once we get by Rival Fivel, it's really easy to get by the next trainer in Giovanni. I mean, Giovanni uses, aside from his first Pokemon that are weak to Surf, and thankfully, Kangaskhan did get knocked out in one hit from Hydro Pump. I wasn't sure if that would happen, and I wasn't sure if Surf was a 1-hit KO against Nidoqueen. It does have pretty decent special, but thankfully it was. And now, truth be told, we get access to Saffron, but I'd love it if I could Surf to Cinnabar and do that gym next, because I really think even with the massive level difference, Gyarados would do very, very well. Unfortunately, in order to use Surf outside of battle, we have to beat Koga. I'm not convinced Sabrina would be easier by any stretch, so I'm actually going to save her for the end. So I'm going to do Koga first, then Cinnabar, then Sabrina, and then we're done. You know, after the roadblock cleared up, we're actually making really good time still. So let's go back and battle Koga. I still hadn't battled the second juggler yet, and of course, he poisons me. I don't have an antidote. I had already used it, which is really annoying. So I either have to go back and heal, which wastes time, or try to beat Koga while poisoned. I opt for the latter, and let's see how that worked. Well, being at a higher level makes a huge difference here. I want a KO Coughing with Surf. Now, I'm almost positive it won't be, but maybe Muck will be a 1-hit KO with Hydro Pump. Thankfully, I hit again, and it's not. Muck goes for Minimize, which is exactly why you don't want to stick around too much, especially now that I am poisoned. Thankfully, I'm able to use Surf, it doesn't miss, and down goes Muck. The second coughing goes down to a single surf just like the first one did. Now, I don't want to see wheezing self-destruct. That may knock me out. I go for Hydro Pump. It does over half, and no, it wouldn't have. That sludge did nothing. And Surf, thankfully, does take out the rest of its health, and yeah! And this really is as good an example as any how important levels are with powerful Pokemon. They just gain so many stat points when you level up. And I feel like if Gyarados wasn't in the slow level up group, despite the fact it has worse stats, I think it would be ahead of Mewtwo at this point, instead of behind. To give you concrete numbers, with 5 badges each, I was at 219 entering the gym with Mewtwo, and we're at 231, so only a 12-minute difference. With that mistake with the repels and the roadblock, you know what? This could be happening. This could be possible. Because Blaine is a joke. I mean, Surf. Unfortunately, I get flinched by Stomp because I don't outspeed Rapidash, but Surf still knocks it out. I wasn't sure if Arcanine would be knocked out. It went for Roar. Makes up for the flinch, and Hydro Pump hits. I knock it out. Very, very easy. Wasn't expecting it to be more difficult than this. Again, very unfortunate that, and this is the big thing Mewtwo has over Gyarados, the speed. The inability at lower levels to outspeed my opponents really is annoying, but so far, aside from one little moment, hasn't been too big an issue. But now we have to face Sabrina. I'm a little nervous. I would be much happier if I had Hyper Beam. Unfortunately, although Gyarados does learn that, not till level 52. If I had Hyper Beam, this would be a total joke. But I do have a physical move. I have Takedown. Although I don't like to use it, it's very on the way. It's literally right on the way to Rival, Fivel, and Sylph Company, so I always pick it up, usually accidentally. I don't even think about it. But I'm actually going to teach it to see if that makes a difference. And against Sabrina's first Kadabra, Takedown does knock it out in one hit. I don't know if Hydro Pump would have either, but hey, that's good. Mr. Mime, however, does survive on a little chunk of health. For the record, Takedown is slightly more powerful than Body Slam, so if I wanted more power, I would have had to gone out of my way for Double Edge, which I didn't want to do either. Anyway, it goes for Light Screen so I can knock it out. And because it didn't knock out Mr. Mime, I'm certain it won't knock out Venomoth. However, Venomoth isn't too big a deal. I go for Surf. Okay, that is a big deal. It goes for Stun Spore. Wow, and it almost confused me. I mean, I don't know, almost, but yay, alright, so this one looks to be a loss. And, Reflect. I don't attack anyway. Perfect, alright, yeah, this is looking great. Sure, use Reflect again, I guess, and okay, no, I don't need to attack. Who needs that? Thankfully, it goes for Psywave, which literally does nothing, and thank you, I'm allowed to attack? That's so nice. And Hydro Pump does over half, which is good enough because it would mean the next turn I'd knock it out if I can hit, which is a big if. For whatever reason, Sabrina really likes using Psywave, which can do somewhat decent damage, and I hit again, and okay. Bad luck aside, that was about as good as I could have hoped for, costing a little bit of time, but hey, we have made it to Giovanni. And Giovanni, like Blaine, shouldn't be too bad since everything he has is weak to Surf. And usually I do the Count Von Count impression here, but it's becoming a tad cliche, so instead I'll talk about how I normally do it, but not actually do it. 5 Surfs, 5 KOs, there we go, regular season over. And our time is still really decent. I don't think we're going to catch Mewtwo. We've actually lost 2 minutes. Mewtwo is at 233. We're at 247. But hey, the fact we're making it close to Mewtwo is really, really cool. We're still on pace to beat all the other legendaries, including Mew, and that's no small achievement. But there are still 6 extremely tough battles remaining. Will I be able to get through them no problem? Let's see. So against Pidgeot, I have taught Blizzard, and I'm going to use it. Hopefully it's a 1-hit KO, and I get a critical hit. So I don't know if it would have been otherwise, but I'll definitely take that. Rhyhorn will obviously be a 1-hit KO with Surf. Gyarados, I'm not sure if my Thunderbolt will 1-hit KO it, but it does, and then I level up, very good. Growlithe, of course, will be a 1-hit KO. But now we have to deal with Alakazam and no physical moves, so I'm going to go for Hydro Pump. Alakazam outspeeds and goes for Recover, which is good. I mean, bad that it outspeeds, but good it went for Recover because it does nothing. Hydro Pump is doing about half, which is fine, so long as it doesn't recover. Well, perfect, it went for Reflect, and this should knock it out, but of course it doesn't. Welcome to damage ranges. Now I can just use Surf and knock it out, but it gets another turn to attack me. And of course it goes for Psychic, which does decent damage, but it could have lowered my special. That would have been very bad. Thankfully it doesn't happen, and I'm already at Venusaur. Now I don't want to see Razor Leaf here. Blizzard does more than half. I get Vine Whip, that's perfect. Knock it out next turn, and that was Rival 6. One crit on Pidgeot, but overall, average luck. So I'm going to say that was a pretty successful battle. And although we had to use rare candies, we are still at minimum battles heading to Lorelie. Lorelie, though, could be a little bit scary, considering she has Ice type. Maybe they'll freeze me, but as we're going to find out, that can never happen. Let's see why. Well, thankfully, all of Lorelie's Pokemon are Water type, so I can use Thunderbolt. It's not quite doing half, and Dugong goes for Rest. That's good. Thunderbolt can then knock it out before it wakes up. Lorelie does use a Super Potion, making it take a turn more, but Dugong never attacks me, and that's one Pokemon down. Now, Cloister, well, that definitely wouldn't have been a 1-hit KO, but I got a critical hit, so that's nice, so I don't even have to worry about Cloister. Now Slowbro is not going to attack me because it has what's called Good AI, and Good AI in Generation 1 is really, really bad. What it's supposed to do is force the AI to prefer super effective moves and avoid not very effective moves, but unfortunately, due to something I've talked about in other videos, the super effective, not very effective message glitch, that actually affects the Good AI. So according to Good AI, both Grass and Ice are not very effective against Gyarados, so they just won't use those moves unless, like Venusaur, it's the only attacking moves they have. And thus, I don't need to worry about Slowbro attacking me with Water Gun. I don't need to worry about Jinx attacking me with Ice Punch, which is by far its most devastating attack. I do, however, need to worry about Lapras using either Confuse Ray or Body Slam. Thankfully in this battle it doesn't use Body Slam, but it occasionally will, and in fact can knock me out, especially if it paralyzes me. I got incredibly good luck, even while being confused. I'm able to knock out the Lapras with plenty of HP remaining, but Lapras doesn't usually go this smoothly, or even Jinx for that matter, because it can also use Body Slam. But good news is they didn't, and we can move on to Bruno, who is unbelievably easy and not really worth talking about once again. I mean, the only thing to really worry about is Hitmonchan using Thunder Punch. However, unlike Lorelie, Bruno and Agatha do not have good AI, so they just randomly attack, hence the Mega Punch. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes 2 Surfs or more, sometimes like the Onix it takes 1, but Bruno really isn't much of a threat. Rock Throw is super effective, but it misses a lot and it doesn't do much damage, plus Onix's terrible attack, and its scariest Pokemon, Machamp, the only attacking move it has is Submission, which is actually not very effective. So losing to Bruno is incredibly difficult to do, and we can move on to Agatha, who I like to call the Agatha Lottery, and she definitely lives up to that name in this battle. For those of you who are new, Agatha has Hypnosis, most of her Pokemon have confusing moves including Confuse Ray, and she has Dream Eater. It's a really bad time, but what makes it even worse is that the attacking move she has, Nightshade, does a lot of damage and there's no real way to defend against it, because it's a set damage move, and it will always do Agatha's level, which at this point is practically a third of my HP. Thankfully though, because she attacks randomly, she went for Dream Eater, and I go for Surf, and it's doing about a third. And that means Gengar has 3 opportunities to attack me, and it's very unlikely it doesn't use Hypnosis. Thankfully that one missed. I went for Hydro Pump, which doesn't miss, and maybe that's doing about half. It's very hard for me to tell, but that would be nice. However, it would require me to hit 2 Hydro Pumps. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Surf. But as I said, it's extremely unlikely I don't get confused, which just happened, or put to sleep. And of course, I hit myself with confusion, giving her another opportunity to put me to sleep. Thankfully, she goes for Dream Eater. We haven't seen Nightshade yet. That would actually be really bad at this point. But I hit myself again in confusion, so I've already lost quite a bit of health. And if things weren't bad enough, she finally does put me to sleep, and I don't wake up turn 1, which you definitely can do. Yeah, this is looking bad. But then, inexplicably, she decides to use her turn to swap into Golbat. That's amazing, not only because Gengar didn't attack, but Golbat has really bad attacks. I mean, what can it do? Confuse me more? I'm already confused. So, yeah, that works out. The fact it went for Confuse Ray followed by Supersonic helps more. It then goes for Haze, which will get rid of my confusion. However, it also eliminates the actual non-glitchy badge boosts. so it effectively lowers my stats by 12.5%. And that's kind of bad, and I don't knock out Golbat with Blizzard. Thankfully, Agatha heals with a Super Potion, and I knock it out with Thunderbolt, but I'm also going to be doing much less damage to her remaining Pokemon. That's not great. Well, back out comes Gengar number 1. Of course it confuses me, and of course I hit myself in confusion. What else do you expect? It goes for Dream Eater, but again, I just can't seem to attack this thing, and I'm almost knocked out at this point. She then goes for Super Potion, and it's noticeable how much less damage that Surf does. Thankfully, she misses with the Hypnosis, Surf hits, does enough to knock it out, and that's 2 of 5 down. Not really looking great, but hey, anything could happen. Now, I'm shocked I don't outspeed the Haunter. Maybe with the badge boost I would. Dream Eater is fine, and Hydro Pump may not even be a 2-hit KO. This is so bad. Well, I'll definitely take another Dream Eater and knocking out the Haunter onto Hydro Pumps. This might be doable. There's 2 Pokemon left, but her last Gengar is very scary. Just 2 Nightshades and I'm done. And that's only if I don't get attacked by Arbok, which also now outspeeds me. Goes for Screech, which misses, and Hydro Pump doesn't knock it out. And yeah, I'm gonna get hit with a critical hit Acid. It's gonna lower my defense, so that'll raise all my other stats to make up for that Haze, but man, that was really a bad turn of events. So any hit from Confusion, Nightshade, heck, even Toxic. There's very little chance I win, but might as well try. Well, we get Toxic, and you can see how much Surf did, so that's not gonna work. And then Gengar uses Nightshade the next turn, and that's it. And I hate to tell you, that's really how far I could make it without doing anything else. And why is that? Well, Agatha obviously is a big reason, but I'm going to show some Lorelie battles because Lorelie is about a 50% success rate, and that's really, really annoying. Sure, she's right at the start, but to win, I essentially need some pretty good luck because Jinx can use Body Slam and Paralyze, Lapras can use Body Slam, and I'm basically praying, like with Agatha, to not hit myself with Confuse Ray, which she has a 1 in 2 chance of using, so she'll almost always use it. And if she doesn't, it's actually worse because Body Slam does some pretty decent damage. So I would lose to Lorelie again and again and again and again. And when I made it past her, of course, Bruno could be defeated in like 5 seconds. And eventually I started to realize, well, I'm gonna have to level up at some point. Might as well do it before Agatha because my success rate versus Agatha to this point was 0. While I did use some of the rare candies, I still have 3 remaining. There was one I skipped in Victory Road because it is a little out of the way. In retrospect, it would have been very nice to have this rare candy, but even with the rare candies, it just wasn't working. Gengar is a really fast Pokemon, so I'm not going to outspeed it, and being slower than Gengar and needing to rely on multiple hits to knock it out is just abysmal. If Gyarados could learn Earthquake, that would make this part really trivial, but even if I was at level 52, which I'm close to and had Hyper Beam, it doesn't affect Ghosts. So no matter what, I'm kinda stuck, and I realized that the only way to get past this was to level up. And at first, I went to the Celadon Mart, bought some vitamins, went and got all the easily accessible rare candies that were a little out of the way. And as you can see as I battle with Lorelie again, it doesn't really change anything for this battle because I'm going to use them right after I level up. Thankfully, it works out that I level up right after I defeat Bruno's Machamp. And the last time I narrated Agatha, I was 4 levels lower. I'm still at minimum battles, although the backtracking definitely did cost some time, but I'm hoping I can at least try and do this minimum battles. So I'm back at Agatha, use the rare candies, I have all the vitamins already used, let's do it. Well, turn 1, I get Dream Eater, which is great, but miss with Hydro Pump. Relying on a move with 80% accuracy will do that. Of course, I get confused the next turn, but I hit with Hydro Pump, and it may be doing just under half. If it's a 2-hit KO, that would be huge. However, we won't find out this turn. I get hit with Nightshade and hit myself in confusion. Just like that, I'm just 2 Nightshades away from losing this battle. And looks like I've lost now that she used Hypnosis, but I wake up. Okay, I guess good and bad luck there. Another Nightshade, which is really bad. I can't take another one from any Pokemon, but Hydro Pump does do just enough damage to knock out Gengar in 2 hits. So the leveling up did help, but it's still really lucky. Here, however, it helps massively. I outspeed Golbat and 1-hit KO with Blizzard, no Haze, I'm still confused, mind you, but that's great. And now maybe Haunter can cooperate and we can make this somewhat competitive? Well, that's exactly what happened. Hydro Pump hits and Haunter swaps to Arbok, which is perfect. It didn't attack, and maybe I'll even knock out the Arbok and make it to the Gengar still at 42 HP. And to make things even better, I get a critical hit. I don't know if that mattered or not, but I will more than take it. I'm out of Hydro Pumps, but Surf will knock out Haunter, and I guess the accuracy is good for Gengar. One Nightshade knocks me out anyway. Now it goes for Dream Eater, good, and how much will Surf do? Well, over half, but that's only because I got a critical hit. So this may still be a 3-hit KO, I'm not sure. It goes for Toxic, which is definitely better than Nightshade, but Surf just misses knocking it out, and now Agatha can even stall with some Super Potions and knock me out, so it's looking bad. Well, she doesn't use a Super Potion, but I do get confused. I need to hit or I lose. I hit. And for the first time, I have defeated Agatha. Wow, this one was bad. I mean, this was one of the worst Agatha battles I've done. And I'm not even that underleveled compared to some of the other legendaries. However, my speed is so much worse, and my special isn't amazing either, and that made this fight just terrible. I'm hoping Lance won't be so bad. I mean, it should be 1 KO with Blizzard on 3 of his Pokemon, so let's see if it really is that easy. First things first, I need to outspeed and knock out his Gyarados with Thunderbolt. I outspeed. Oh, gosh. And of course, Lance has Hyper Potions, which takes it back to full health, so I try once again, and if it is a range, it's definitely not in my favor. And wow. Hyper Beam miss. That's just bad. Not good at all. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that one again, but definitely would like to be at a bit of a higher level to knock that out in one hit. Anyway, will I outspeed and knock out the Dragonair with Blizzard? Well, I would have, but I accidentally click Hyper Beam. Thankfully, Lance just heals, but now he does have a free turn to attack because of the recharge turn. Man, that was an unforced error. Well, he goes for Agility, but that means he's going to attack first, goes for Dragon Rage. I mean, only lost 40 HP due to that error. Whatever, I'll take it. Now that the cursor is already on Blizzard, I just use it, and down goes Dragonair number 2. Now, Aerodactyl is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. I'm not going to outspeed it. It goes for Bite, and it doesn't flinch or get a critical hit. So I knock it out, and now we just have Dragonite. I don't know if I'm going to outspeed it, but if I do, the battle is over. And I outspeed, and I miss. And he uses Agility, so that means Dragonite's going to attack first. No critical hit Hyper Beam, please? Alright, Slam is No. Are you kidding me? Slam? Oh my god, that's so annoying. Well, at least we'll make it back to Lance in no time, right? Wrong. Wrong. And here's where I chose to abandon minimum battles. Because, first off, Loralee was still about a 50-50 chance, and I was starting to spend a lot of time on this run, which is against what I like to do. I know I measure in-game time, but when the real time is really starting to add up, it's telling me something. In addition, Agatha was just not impossible, but so unlikely. And there are so many trainers around, there are some more rare candies I can get that are a little more out of the way. All I have to do is battle them, and this will probably go much better. And frankly, I'll still be at one of the lowest levels, but I'm not going to pretend like it isn't really disappointing to have to level up towards the end. I expected at the beginning where I don't have many options, but this is the first time I've had a Pokemon get all the way through the main game and have to abandon it right at the end, but that's what this run was. And so I tried to battle the most convenient trainers possible that gave me the most experience points, and I try again. Now, I don't actually level up all that much. To be fair, I'm thinking ahead to that Gyarados. I only battled 2 trainers, but I used my rare candies before Loralee, since if I can make her consistent, I'll get more chances at Agatha, and frankly, with high-level Pokemon, a level or 2 more can make a massive difference. Now I start Loralee at level 50, and the battle isn't too different to be honest, just more consistent. Dugong and Cloister are 2 hits and 1 hit respectively. Slowbro is still 2, but I got a crit. Jinx, I think is still a 2-hit KO, but I got that critical hit with Hydro Pump. And Lapras would have been a 3-hit KO, however, having more HP means I have more turns to get hit by Body Slam or hit myself in confusion. Thankfully, it only happened once, and I did actually get a lucky paralysis on Lapras, so it didn't attack when I didn't attack. But yeah, this was pretty incredible luck. I think you can see, though, it is a little bit more consistent, and that's good. Being able to get through the first two to Agatha and getting more attempts at Agatha definitely makes her less annoying. Bruno, I'm just going to speed through as quick as possible. Almost nothing is different. To be fair, Gyarados matches up ridiculously well to water flying type, even without flying attacking moves. It just matches up extremely well. But now we're at Agatha. We're really only 1 and a bit levels higher, but hopefully I'll just be doing enough damage that it'll make a difference. Let's see. Obviously, I'm still not outspeeding. It goes for Hypnosis. I went for Surf to see if it would do half, and it does just under, but Hydro Pump should knock it out. Well, again, I get good luck with a Dream Eater, but I don't get the range I need. Gengar is still around. Thankfully, Agatha heals, and Surf will knock it out. Wow, could you imagine if she had Hyper Potions? This battle would be so much worse. But unfortunately, because I leveled up a bit more, I'm going to actually have to delete Hydro Pump for Hyper Beam. I need Hyper Beam for a later battle, so I'm just going to have to deal with using Surf. I think about testing Thunderbolt, but I opt to go for Blizzard. I know it's a 1-hit KO. I don't miss. And down goes Golbat. Somewhat unfortunately, Haunter goes for Nightshade, but at least they're not confused or asleep. Surf does about half, and I knock it out the next turn. Now, Arbok, I wish I would have had Hydro Pump, or maybe even Hyper Beam would have done more damage, but I do Surf. It's doing about 80%. Thankfully, it goes for Bite and Knock Glare, and I knock it out. So I do have at least 2 hits versus the last Gengar. But this battle can turn bad really quickly with a Confuse Ray, a Toxic. Man, let's just hope for decent luck. Well, Dream Eater is good, and yeah, I'd call that decent luck. Critical hit Surf, I will take that all day, every day. Just don't confuse me. Nightshade is perfect, which I don't usually say, and I will knock out the final Gengar. But I miscalculate. I'm supposed to level up to level 53 right here, and I don't. So I'm at level 52 again against Gyarados. So I'm going to need the range, and that's a really annoying mistake because it's one of the main reasons I sacrificed minimum battles. Whatever, I'm here, I might as well try, but I'm really annoyed now. So obviously we're going to outspeed, and of course. Well, that's nice. So down goes Gyarados. And yeah, I think I was off by like 800 experience points or something, so I level up right here. Great, I guess. Alright, just don't miss. Okay, that's annoying. Whatever, Dragon Rage is fine. Come on, really? And now Agility, so what's it gonna do here? Oh, Hyper Beam! So, the advantage I got from actually knocking out that Gyarados was pretty much nullified. Thanks, that's great. Now I'm definitely less annoyed. Is the 90% accurate move gonna miss again? Okay, good. Thankfully, it doesn't. So, there's Dragonair. Now I have to hope Aerodactyl plays nice because critical hit anything will probably knock me out. Well, I guess it did. Miss with Supersonic. That could have actually been really, really bad. Man, this is bad. But if I get Blizzard to hit right here, I will actually make it to the champion for the first time. And I guess we got all the misses out of our system, so yeah, that's Lance. We've now made it to the champion, and Rival 6 wasn't so bad. Honestly, this could be okay. I don't know. You know what? I don't want to predict anymore. Every time I think a battle's going to be okay, it ends up being awful. We're just going to battle. We're going to see how it goes. And when it goes poorly, I'll be even grumpier. So, without further ado, the final battle. Hopefully. Alright, first things first. Will I outspeed and knock out Pidgeot in one hit? I outspeed. Do not knock it out in one hit, but thankfully it goes for Sky Attack. I can use any attack and knock it out. And here's where I want Hyper Beam. I won't outspeed, but if it doesn't use Reflect, I will knock this out in one hit. Recover or Psybeam. Psybeam, no confusion. Good. Knock it out. Yes. Okay, better mood now. Alakazam was scary because of Psychic lowering my special. Alright, this is looking alright. We're going to knock out Rhydon with a single Surf. I don't even really need to think about that one. But I doubt we'll knock out Gyarados with a single Thunderbolt. I may need to level up here. Alright, well, how much damage does it do? All of it. What? How was it? Whatever. You know what? Let's just take it. We'll take it. Alright, Arcanine. Will it be a 1-hit KO with Surf? I'm thinking so. It actually outspeeds and goes for Roar, which is good. I didn't expect that. And no, it's not a 1-hit KO. Uh-oh, if he uses Takedown, I could have not a lot of health for Venusaur. But thankfully, it just goes for Roar. Even good AI isn't that good. And now, I don't know if Venusaur will even use a grass move, but even if it does, I'm not worried about Mega Drain or Solar Beam. This could be... Oh, well, I guess a critical hit works too. We win! Hooray! Aw, this was disappointing though. I was really hoping Gyarados would challenge Mewtwo, and in the end, it ended up being beaten by every single legendary that isn't Moltres, and 333, level 55, it's definitely going to be in that second tier, but there's no way it's going to go ahead of Articuno. I mean, yeah, Zapdos wasn't minimum battles either, but remember what a great endgame, how it made such a charge to actually close the gap on Articuno? Exact opposite for Gyarados, and I always consider late game more important than early game, because there are more options. It really shows what the Pokemon is made of. And while Gyarados is a very good Pokemon, maybe the best non-legendary Pokemon, but when compared to legendaries, it's the second worst. Again, other than Moltres. So that's all for this episode. I hope these videos prove it doesn't need to be challenging for these runs to be interesting. I have some other generations that I'm going to be playing soon. We'll see what gets released, but yeah, I gotta go work on more videos. Take care.